Rated M for mature.
Attention elites, your latest mission is here. In Sniper Elite Resistance, you will assume the role of Harry Hawker and deploy to France with a clear directive. Join up with the French resistance and fight behind enemy lines until the country can be liberated once and for all. This training video will guide you through gameplay mechanics, provide key intel, and equip you with crucial survival tips for your mission. If you're a seasoned veteran ready for your next deployment, Rebellion thanks you for your service and support. If this is your first mission, welcome. Sniper Elite offers a complete and immersive experience as a World War II sniper. The franchise is back, with Sniper Elite Resistance available on all platforms as of January 30th. Pay attention and take notes. Each mission in Sniper Elite Resistance will begin at an insertion point, a place of relative safety some distance away from the location's enemy presence. From this position, you'll begin with the element of surprise, and your survival may depend on maintaining that crucial advantage. Stealth is core to your role as a Sniper Elite. Let's use the first mission of Sniper Elite Resistance as an example, and explore key strategies you can use to stay undetected. Behind enemy lines tasks you with providing ground support for a Royal Air Force strike on a dam in the French Alps. The installation is core to German activities in the area, and its importance is highlighted by the set of twin flak cannons providing anti-air defenses. These cannons are preventing our boys in the RAF from taking out the dam, and we need to weaken enemy infrastructure wherever we can. Your mission is to disable these defenses by any means necessary. The insertion point for this mission is the top of a watchtower overlooking the dam. You can see the majority of the mission area from here, including your primary objective. With its 360-degree unobstructed view, this vantage point presents the perfect opportunity for two cornerstones of the Sniper Elite experience: recon and sniping. In order to stay undetected as you navigate the mission area and encounter enemies, you'll first need to know what you're up against. This is where careful recon comes into play. Standard procedure dictates that you should find an appropriate vantage point, ideally an elevated position with a view of the entire battlefield, and use your binoculars to mark enemies, study their patrol paths, and make note of possible routes to and from objectives. Not every vantage point will be a safe haven. Always be on the lookout for enemy snipers. They pose a greater threat than infantry and can neutralize you in seconds. With all threats marked and a better understanding of the mission area, you're now prepared to start thinning the enemy's numbers. Effective operators will pick off enemies from a distance, and it's important to remember that excellent sniping performance is a balancing act of skill, patience, and knowledge of your surroundings. Depending on your difficulty settings, your aim can be affected by a number of ballistics factors. Your shots depend on wind speed, direction, distance, gravity, and even your own heart rate. An experienced operative is in tune with these at all times. A true Sniper Elite is aware of their surroundings at all times, from the ground underneath them to the sounds of their environment. Reaching that level of skill will take some practice, but here is what you need to know to get started. Wind patterns are volatile and prone to change, so you'll have to compensate your aim accordingly. Calculating wind while also dealing with an unsteady hand introduces opportunity for error. So here's a helpful tip. Your aim will be steadier the closer you are to the ground. Crouching is good, going prone is ideal. You can further steady your aim by using empty lung while aiming through your rifle scope. Your heart rate plays a crucial role in your aim. The higher it is, the more unsteady your shot will be, regardless of your stance. Your heart rate increases from taking damage, running, and using empty lung. You can decrease it by moving slowly or resting for a few moments. When sniping enemies from afar, make sure to adjust your scope to the target's distance. That information can be found by marking the target with your binoculars or rifle scope. Dialing in your sights ensures that you don't over or undershoot the target, resulting in a costly missed shot that alerts the enemy. If you can take out your targets from hundreds of yards away, the sound of your rifle might not be a concern. However, you're deep into enemy territory. The enemies could be within earshot. Elite operatives rely on a technique known as sound masking to remain undetected while pulling the trigger. Master it, and you'll turn the battlefield to your advantage. The clanking of heavy machinery within the dam and the sound of rushing water at the dam's base can be used to mask the sounds of your rifle. If the battlefield falls silent, you can create your own sound masking opportunities by sabotaging vehicles and machinery, like the enemy trucks scattered throughout this area. Be careful, sabotaging may draw attention and cause enemies to investigate. With danger comes opportunity. You may use these distractions to your advantage, depending on how you choose to execute your mission. Regardless of how stealthy you are, engaging the enemy is inevitable. How you handle enemy soldiers is entirely at your discretion. It's up to you whether you'll sneak around or put them down using the tools at your disposal. Your loadout will always include your primary rifle, a secondary, and a pistol. These are respectively for long, medium, and short-range engagements. Your kit also includes a knife for lethal close-quarters stealth takedowns, but non-lethal takedowns are also an option. In the mission behind enemy lines, you'll begin in an optimal sniping position where you can clear out enemy forces before beginning your approach. However, there's nothing stopping you from climbing down the tower to face the Gestapo head-on if you prefer to get up close and personal. If you favor this tactic, remember that running in guns blazing will almost certainly raise the alarm and alert reinforcements. To avoid getting yourself in a jam, use your trusty well rod for silenced kills, or use environmental noise to sound mask shots from your rifle. If you have to take the safety off your SMG, your cover has likely been compromised, and you may be in for an all-out firefight. Whatever your chosen playstyle is, HQ recommends staying low and moving carefully when you begin your approach, using cover whenever possible to block all lines of sight. Keep your head on a swivel, and listen to enemy chatter and footsteps so they can't get the drop on you. Using your focus ability is a great way to monitor your surroundings, especially in enclosed spaces like the inner workings of the dam and the multi-level house you'll pass through en route. These tips are tailored for a stealthy approach, but they're equally effective for a more brash and bold mode of operation. Should you choose to go guns blazing, there are key considerations to keep in mind. The battlefield can be unpredictable, and not everything will go your way. The true test of an elite is their adaptability. It is important to pay attention to enemy alert phases and adjust your approach accordingly. The alert phases are idle, suspicious, and combat, and these are represented on your HUD by the colors white, yellow, and red. At idle, enemies are completely unaware of your presence. This is the goal. They'll enter the suspicious phase if they catch a glimpse of you, come across a fallen ally, or hear you fire a weapon. Other enemies may join the search. If you've been spotted or openly engaged the enemy, they'll enter the combat phase. Even the stealthiest elites may find themselves pinned down and outnumbered. This is not the time to sit around and ponder how you ended up here. Enemies will suppress, distract, and flank you every chance they get. So it's crucial that you use everything at your disposal to fight back. Guns, grenades, traps, you can even get creative and use environmental hazards to even the odds. Staying on the move while keeping close to cover is a good way to keep all your targets in front of you and prevent being flanked. If there's too much enemy resistance, a temporary retreat might be wise. Even elites aren't invincible, and falling back to let enemies exit the combat phase can give you a chance to recalibrate and try a different approach. The amount of time it takes for enemies to transition between alert phases and how aggressively they'll search will depend on your difficulty settings. On authentic difficulty, the highest setting, enemies will hunt you down relentlessly. If you find yourself continually struggling in certain operations, it might be time to call for some reinforcements of your own. A fellow SOE agent or French resistance fighter can fight alongside you through the entire campaign in co-op mode. You'll begin each mission with SOE and French resistance supplied weapons. As you clear objectives and make your way across France, you'll unlock parts that can be equipped or switched out to customize a weapon's power, rate of fire, control, and mobility. The weapon customization process can be completed in the loadout menu before a mission, or at any workbench you come across in the field. Every location will have up to 3 of these workbenches, one for pistols, one for SMG, and one for rifles, each weapon in your loadout. However, they won't always be in plain sight. This is where exploration and curiosity comes in handy, as you may have to climb, drop, lockpick, or force your way into areas that contain workbenches. Remember the multi-level house we mentioned earlier? If you explore its lowest level, you'll find the very first workbench in Resistance. After you climb down from the watchtower, zipline over to the bridge, and climb up to the small village on your approach to the flak cannons, you'll be faced with a building. Enter straight ahead and turn to the left, and you'll see a room that's blocked off with wooden boards. A brute would waste time tearing down these boards by hand, but using the crowbar found in the same room will make the process much faster. You'll have to hunt down the others on your own, but make sure to keep your eyes peeled in Mission 2. It has a workbench and will unlock the game's first suppressor, which will be vital to your survival. For the first time in a Sniper Elite game, you'll have access to extra operations called propaganda missions. These challenging tests of skill will drop you into the shoes of a French resistance fighter and task you with completing objectives under certain parameters. These missions will test your stealth, sniping, and combat skills. Propaganda missions are invaluable to the French resistance goals, but in order to help them get closer to liberation, you need to unlock them first, which is sometimes easier said than done. In the field, you'll come across French resistance propaganda posters. These can be collected to gain access to propaganda missions, which you'll then be able to find in the main menu. Propaganda posters are usually hidden in each area, but here's a tip to help you locate them. When a poster is near, you'll hear the sound of it rustling in the wind. We hope these tips set you up for a successful mission. Remember, Sniper Elites are defined by their tactical precision, adaptability, and resolve. That concludes this training session. Armed with these tips and tactics, you're prepared to face every obstacle and challenge Sniper Elite Resistance throws your way, and step up as a true elite in the process. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel before you deploy, and make sure you do us proud. Sniper Elite Resistance is available on Xbox Game Pass for console and PC, Windows PC via the Windows Store, Steam, and the Epic Games Store, and both current and previous generation Xbox and PlayStation consoles. Join the Resistance today. Dismissed.